Jesus says, "Lo, I stand at the door and knock." Jesus is knocking on the door of your heart today.
Endeavoring to keep close to my text, I shall start with this first point, that the plea of self-righteousness contradicts itself. If I justify myself, mine own mouth shall condemn me. Come, friend, thou who dost justify thyself by thine own works, let me hear thee speak. I say that I have no need of a salvation by the blood and righteousness of another, for I believe that I have kept the commands of God from my youth up, and I do not think that I am guilty in his sight, but I hope that I may be able in my own right to claim a seat in paradise. Now, sir, your plea and this declaration of yours is in itself a condemnation of you, because upon its very surface it is apparent that you are committing sin while you are pleading that you have no sin. For the very plea itself is a piece of high and arrogant presumption. God hath said it. Let Jew and Gentile stop his mouth, and let all the world stand guilty before God. We have it on inspired authority that there is none righteous, no, not one. There is none good save one, that is God. We are told by the mouth of a prophet sent from God that all we like wandering sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way. And thou, in saying that thou art righteous, dost commit the sin of calling God a liar. Thou hast dared to impugn his veracity. Thou hast slandered his justice. This boast of thine is in itself a sin so great, so heinous, that if thou hadst only that one sin to account for, it would be sufficient to sink thee to the lowest hell. The boast, I say, is in itself a sin. The moment that a man says, "I have no sin," he commits a sin in the saying of it, the sin of contradicting his Maker and making God a false accuser of his creatures. Besides, dost thou not see, thou vain and foolish creature, that thou hast been guilty of pride in the very language thou hast used? Who but a proud man would stand up and commend himself? Who but one who was proud as Lucifer would, in the face of God's declaration, declare himself to be just and holy? Did the best of men ever speak thus? Did they not all of them acknowledge that they were guilty? Did Job, of whom God said that he was a perfect and an upright man, claim perfection? Did he not say, "If I justify myself, mine own mouth shall condemn me"? O proud wretch, how art thou puffed up? How hath Satan bewitched thee? How hath he made thee lift up thine horn on high, and speak with a stiff neck? Take heed to thyself, for if thou hadst never been guilty before, this pride of thine were quite sufficient to draw Jehovah's thunderbolts out of the quiver, and make him smite thee once for all to thine eternal destruction. But further, the plea of self-righteousness is self-contradictory upon another ground. For all that a self-righteous man pleads for is comparative righteousness. Why, saith he, I am no worse than my neighbors, in fact a great deal better. I do not drink or swear. I do not commit fornication or adultery. I am no Sabbath breaker. I am no thief. The laws of my country do not accuse, much less condemn me. I am better than most of men. And if I be not saved, God help those who are worse than I am. If I cannot enter the kingdom of heaven, then who can? Just so. But then all that you claim is that you are righteous as compared with others. Do you not see that this is a very vain and fatal plea? Because you do in fact admit that you are not perfectly righteous, that there is some sin in you, only you claim there is not so much in you as in another. You admit that you are diseased, but then the plague spot is not so apparent in you as in your fellow man. You admit that you have robbed God and broken his laws, only you have not done it with so desperate an intent, nor with so many aggravations as others. Now this is virtually a plea of guilty, disguise it as you may. You admit that you have been guilty, and against you the sentence comes forth, "The soul that sinneth, it shall die." Take heed to thyself, that thou shalt find no shelter in this refuge of lies, for it shall certainly fail thee, when God shall come to judge the world with righteousness and the people with equity.